Hey there, welcome back to Tips Over Tea. I am Nicole, your host. I am excited to talk with Dani today. We are going to be talking a little bit about mental health, skincare, the types of products we use, the important ingredients in the products, nutrient-based versus trauma-based skincare, all of that. So, if that sounds exciting to you because our skin is our largest organ, then go ahead, grab your tea, grab a friend, and listen in. We'll see you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tips Over Tea. This is episode 36. I am excited to introduce you to Miss Dani Neifert. She is amazing. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Absolutely.
I am excited to talk to you because you are just like the skincare guru. But we're going to cover a topic that a lot of people don't talk about, and that is mental health and skincare. And I would love to hear, first, I want to know about your products because they contribute to the well-being of mental health, right? So let's talk a little bit about how that, and then segue into just the whole concept of mental health and skincare, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Dani, and for those of you guys who don't know me, and I've been doing skincare for, I don't even want to say, but I'm coming up on almost 30 years because I got started
Wow.
at such a young age. And so skincare has been this world where I've just been all over in. Like I feel like I've been sucked in and spit out and chewed up and and then reinvented and had to learn about that and then go down that path. And it's been this like lifelong journey, and I'm a double cancer, so
Mm,
I naturally gravitate towards comfort, towards texture, towards smell,
mm,
towards care,
mhm.
food, and like bubble bath and massage oils and all that. And
Yes.
I was a young mom, and so that's what started it specifically was
Mm,
how do you care for a newborn's skin, which is, I mean, anybody who's ever been close to a newborn baby is just, it's so mind blowing. Like
yeah.
the awe of the perfection is just like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
wow. So that was the thing that, even though I grew up gardening and I did grow up off grid,
Mhm,
very remote, part of my childhood was very remote on an Indian reservation.
mhm,
And then I grew up around natural living, and
mhm,
then it was reignited when I became a young mother. And
mm.
so that was how, like, everything I'm going to say kind of some brazen things. And I guess I want to preface that with I've put a lot of miles in, and I've seen a lot to be able to be as opinionated as I am
Okay.
at this far in. And just a quick overview of my company, Skin Harmonics. It's a very, very different skincare company in the way that instead of using chemicals
Mhm,
and anything that's trauma based to heal our skin, I'm using something called dermal nutrients. And
mm,
dermal nutrients was something invented by a doctor about 15 years ago that I stumbled into and developed like a whole process around it. I learned how to magnify the
mhm.
effects of topical dermal nutrients so that the skin, our skin, my skin, everybody's skin can. It's always weird when people say the skin, it's like, okay, wait a minute here. It's like, I always have to catch myself. I am very much a scientist, but I'm in this world too. So it's so our skin reorganizes. Like it
Mm,
heals because it's being nourished so deeply,
mhm, mhm,
not because it's being um, essentially, and we'll dive into this next, the whole clinical skin industry is trauma and chemical based.
mm,
Somewhere along the way, and there is history of why the way to resurface and to heal skin is to traumatize it. Now,
mm,
this is like a really big thing because the more we're evolving as a species and humanity and all this awareness that's out around trauma work and colonization of the world, and like we're all having to return back to our indigenous roots,
yeah,
really, all
yeah,
of us. um, and accepting and being with that root, we can't heal by adding more trauma. Like
Yeah.
we cannot heal by sending more bombs, by layering more,
Yeah.
more and more, aggressive attacks. And this is like, as a culture, between communities, and this is also happens individually on a micro level too. Like we can't heal ourselves as individuals if our
Hmm.
brain is like attacking ourselves,
Hmm.
about
Yeah.
what's not right with the rest of our systems, how we might be too emotional, or the body's just like too much of a mess and can't be messed with. So it's like all of
Hmm.
those things have to be reconfigured, and we can only heal by nourishing, is
Hmm.
basically my point. We have to throw food and nourishment, water, some basic fundamental things,
Hmm.
um, out of our with our bodies, but also specifically with our skin. It's the universal, in order to resurface and to heal. And
Yeah.
so that's what skin harmonics is all about. And it's a process where we really do detox. There's a
Hmm.
reorganization that's so profound
Hmm.
that I've never been able to achieve with lasers, with traditional retinol creams, with scrubs, with
Hmm.
cleansers, with the whole gamut of benzoyl peroxide, even tea tree oils on that list for me. There's like a conventional standard that's in place that is taking people in the wrong direction. So skin
Hmm.
harmonics is about nourishing and going through a temporary detox phase and arriving at a place that is just way more beautiful. So
I love that. I love that. And I've never thought about the typical skincare regimen as like trauma, like the abrasive products. I never, we think about trauma just emotional way, but
right,
physical,
right, right. Or a
physical.
bad boyfriend or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's micro traumas, like the act of, first of all, if we're just always cleansing our skin, there's
Mhm.
this the mental part of it is that where our skin is dirty.
Right.
So like there's this mental thing, like we have to scrub and clean, and then scrape because we're always trying to get the old and the bad skin off to get
Hmm.
the new skin to the top.
Hmm.
And that's been the old blueprint,
Yeah.
whether you're using glycolic peels or salicylic or
Hmm.
whatever, even alpha hydroxy acids. It's an exfoliation strategy to remove skin and to cleanse it. And
Yeah.
what I discovered is that it's not effective, because the main reason why people's skin is congesting, it's self-congesting. It's not from dirt, it's not from makeup, believe it or not. It's internal. It's on the surface because our skin isn't hydrated enough to be in its natural state where it's self-cleansing and it's
Hmm.
releasing its own oil naturally, and
Hmm.
everything is moving and humming so that our skin isn't getting congesting. So we're basically sabotaging our skin by anti-aging products and
Hmm.
acne products.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That kind of doesn't surprise me, just with the knowledge of like the stuff that's in those products, but I never associated it with because I know like there's especially some acne products, they're like stay out of the sun. Like I'm like
Right.
there's something wrong just with that right there. Like the sun is supposed to be nourishing and give you vitamins and stuff like that. So uh what have you noticed with respect to like mental health and working with your clients after they started working with you and using your process and things like that?
Yeah, well, it's a really big shift that happens
Hmm.
because I was raised in the skin industry myself too. And so I was trained to over cleanse and to use astringents like witch
Hmm.
hazel, tea tree oil, lavender, all of the things to dry out acne. And then if you're dealing with aging issues, then it's all about how we can use glycolic, lactic, or salicylic acid to like
Hmm.
strip the skin, move the skin so we can get the new skin up.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a complete moving away from that. It's like a rinsing of the brain
Hmm.
from this need to cleanse.
Hmm.
Um, I I tell my clients to do minimal cleansing,
Hmm.
and you can use warm water, optional washcloth, optional little bit of coconut oil, and let the steam and the water do its thing. Now, if you're
Hmm.
wearing stage makeup or some really hardcore sunscreen, you might need a gentle cleanser.
Sure.
But there's this obsession moving away from cleansing, thinking that cleansing, if you just can get the dirt out, if you can cleanse enough, if you can cleanse good enough and often enough, you won't have blackheads.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that's causing blackheads. So there's this shift away from like chilling out on the whole cleansing thing,
Mm-hmm.
and still preparing your skin at night with warm water and steam and splashed over the sink or in the shower. But there's this because what's we're rinsing away is something called the natural acid mantle, and that's a part of our skin. It's anatomy, it's an invisible film, and so there's this acceptance that that's there and it's supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this the old way of thinking where the skin has to be squeaky clean, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when you're in trouble, because that means you've just removed your acid mantle, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when all of the water will start evaporating out and your sebaceous gland will go into overdrive. So
Mm-hmm.
there's this relaxation around cleansing. um, and very minimal, very, very minimal. And then the serums have to do with hydration and food topically.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's about receiving food and water. And like, what
Mm-hmm.
could be more universal or fundamental than that? It's about receiving goodness
Yeah.
instead of trying to like clean away, scrub away, force the skin to replace itself. It's a completely different psychology. It's
Right.
about minimal self-acceptance, minimal cleansing, receiving goodness,
Mm-hmm.
and then using a lipid-rich moisturizer to trap that water. The dermal nutrients travel all the way into our dermal layer. They're patented.
Mm-hmm.
They are they have a special liposomal delivery so that they literally, for real, go all the way through our epidermis and is received and translated into new skin cells in the living dermal layer of our skin. So there's this deep receiving of that,
Mm-hmm.
metabolization of that. And then this use of a moisturizer on top, which
Mm-hmm.
is what traps it all in. And that creates an environment where our skin has food, it has water, and it has barrier restoration. So our skin doesn't have to overproduce oil or
Mm-hmm.
always be in anxiety, because
Mm-hmm.
that acid mantle isn't in place and there's not a little bit of oil on the skin, which is the natural resting state of our skin. Like that's when
Mm-hmm.
there's peace
Mm-hmm.
on our skin, is when that's in place. And so all of these oil-free moisturizers and this
Mm-hmm.
fear of oils on the face, because we don't want to clog our pores,
Yeah.
it's this that's what's causing the clogged pores. So there's this also acceptance of oils, like good fats, good lipids for the skin that
Mm-hmm.
help it be skin and help the whole thing function. So that's just sort of like a really quick little walk through. And also, there's this insanity that happens with skincare where people get in these toxic loops
Yeah.
where you have to scrub, and then you have to go and get a chemical peel, and then you have to go and get another chemical peel. And then if you're getting injected, you've got to go and put the list on your refrigerator, the whole schedule of these things that you're doing to your skin,
Mm-hmm.
which in reality are sabotaging your skin health and walking you in circles.
Mm.
And so there's like these addictive loops that people, the mental part of beauty and skincare,
Yeah.
that women are in, and that's out the window. What I'm doing is like covering these fundamentals I just mentioned, creating this equanimity, this peace, and then allowing for the skin to reorganize itself. And sometimes that means that our skin goes through a temporary healing phase where it literally purges. When it
Yeah.
has access to all of those things,
Yeah.
blackheads, milia, all sorts of crazy stuff can come out of our
Yeah.
skin. It's
Mm-hmm.
not forever, it's temporary. And this is where some people get confused and think, oh God, I've raised water levels, I'm using this heavy moisturizer, but now my clogging my pores. And it's
Yeah.
just not true. And especially with my system, like it's been tried and true with like hundreds and thousands of people at this point. So I
Mm-hmm.
can customize it and take every skin type with every type of condition, like through the whole process. And eventually my clients need to see me less than once a year,
Mm-hmm.
because their skin is clear, it's happy, it's self-cleansing, it's getting that glow, it's getting everything it needs. And then I go in and once a year give it a really good deep cleaning.
I love that. I love especially the concept of self-acceptance and the educational piece around how the skin is supposed to behave or supposed to be naturally. Because going by the commercials and the things on the shelves, like you said, we're not supposed to have any type of oiliness because that's what's causing pimples and things like
And
that.
it's a lot
And
of mixed messages too, because then
yeah.
there's the dewy fresh look, you know, and then the whole color thing. It's like if you don't want to look too dark because that means you're old, but then young people are bronzing themselves in
Right.
color. So it's insanity, like the messaging that's coming, from the skin industry specifically, and of course beauty is like so many, like it's like schizophrenia, if we're gonna like
Mhm.
keep rolling with this mental wellness
Yeah.
thing. It's like all these different really toxic voices that are telling
Mhm.
people to be this way but not that way, and this is beauty and that's beauty, and
Mhm.
it has to look like this, and yeah, it's just a jumbled mess. And self-acceptance is huge. It's like we're born with our pore size too. There's always this fear about pore size, like, oh,
Mhm.
big pores. And it's like, we're born with our pore size. We just want to keep them clear and open and soft so that they can function exactly how they're supposed to function. And so that would be the goal.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned well, one, I didn't know about the pore size thing. I do know that there is obsession, like I need to shrink my pores so stuff wouldn't be getting in, but
Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't.
Oh my God. There's if there's a way, the skin industry has found a way to exploit like every fear or flaw around our skin. And what's beyond like mind blowing to me, mind blowing,
Mhm.
is how it exists for as long as it has existed without somebody being like, well, wait a minute. And I think that's where the dermal nutrients came in for me. It was like, okay, there's a better way. Like we can feed our skin. I think
Mhm.
we had to resort to doing that other stuff as a developmental stage because we
Mhm.
didn't have access to anything else. And so we just were like cavemen, like beating on our skin, like, but like there really is another way we can
Yeah.
feed our skin, and at some point there'll be like lots of brands, everybody will be competing about the best dermal nutrients,
Mhm.
but until that patent runs out there is just one source, but there is another way. But even just understanding that you can
Yeah.
hydrate and restore your barrier even without using these special nutrients, you're actually better off
Yeah.
than getting in a whirlwind with these other products,
Yeah.
which are just so, they're everywhere. And I'll tell you why it started. In the 1900s, it was figured out that a phenol chemical peel would actually, if you removed, these scientists removed this poor woman,
Oh,
removed her epidermis with it. They
right.
took acid and dissolved her epidermis completely
Oh
away.
my gosh.
And what they learned was her dermal layer replaced it. And so it's been repeating from that ever since. And it's like,
Wow.
just because the dermal layer can, what I know now is that yes, it can, but it does so by sacrificing its own health to do that.
Mhm.
So I'm convinced at this point that anything that's trauma based,
Mhm.
though you might get that increase of cell turnover, you're sliding downhill because you are putting hard miles on your dermal layer.
Mhm.
Hard miles. Like you're
Mhm.
actually accelerating your own aging for that quick little burst while
Mhm.
going downhill the whole time.
Mhm.
And that in itself is like not smart.
Mhm.
But it's been monetized and commercialized, and like beauty is like this whole thing now, and skincare is this whole thing. And so these companies are playing the same chords
Yeah.
over and over and over. Okay, we want you to be, are your pores huge? We'll save you. Do you have acne? We'll save you with that. We'll save you with this. Like they're playing these three notes over and over into the ground,
Mhm.
and everybody is like this. And I'll tell you, when I see people who have had a lot of procedures, and I get a lot of people that are in their 40s and 50s that
Mhm.
never resolved these issues. And now they're like
Mhm.
into menopause and they're saying, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
this is horrible. Like, it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
So, these women who have spent thousands,
Yeah.
of dollars and more. Like the confessions that I have heard of what women
Yeah.
have spent on their skin, and
Yeah.
their skin is so miserable. I look at it, it's something that I call fake happy. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it might be Botox, it might be injected, but if you look at the texture, if you look at the blood that's moving in there,
Yeah.
like, it's not, this skin is miserable. It's like,
Yeah.
just lost my little ear patch on here. It is my little,
Yeah.
it's like in a fugitive war camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, so not healthy. Like it's, there's no sanity the
Mm-hmm.
way that the skin industry exists today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What comes to mind to me when you with that whole industry is I always talk about like the vein clinic commercials and how I'm like, before these commercials, did we think that there was an issue with our veins being visible? Like,
Right.
right? Like, is before these skincare commercials, did we really think about, like, were we
No,
worried about our
right. I
veins?
mean, this is the monetization, and
Yeah,
this is kind of like how it goes. And like, I want to make money. We all want to make money. I just want to make money in the right way.
yeah,
We don't want to like plant. It's like we
fear.
plant the fear and then we put a price tag to make the fear go away. And
Hmm.
I think the ultimate question is like, are we healthy? Like,
Right.
that's the big question. Like, will this make me healthier?
Yeah.
And because health is beauty,
Right.
fundamentally, it's the
Yeah.
same thing. And so that's the question, rather than like, all of this, like, oh, my little veins or my pores, or like this one little freckle, or this one little thing.
Hmm.
We want to
Hmm.
get the texture improved and that glow up and the vitality and this sense of how skin is preserved rather than fading.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the concept of preserved and that hyper nourished. It's interesting because I was thinking one day, I just, in my mind, I was like, what can I use in place of like sunscreen? And like
Mhm.
immediately what came to me is nourishing my skin, like keeping it
Oh,
healthy and hydrated and nourished. I was like, huh. And then I think I met you not too long after
that's so
that.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, the sun is an interesting one because we need it for
Hmm.
health,
Hmm.
and at the same time, 80% of visible aging is due to the sun.
Hmm.
So I I think we have to be like orchids. Like, we have to find that right dose and not burn ourselves and then not
Yeah.
live in our basements either.
Hmm.
And it is true that skin that is hydrated, has dermal nourishment, has the barrier in place, is so much less likely to burn. Like,
Hmm.
just by locking down those fundamentals
Hmm.
is going to do a lot better when exposed to the sun. So yeah.
I love that. You probably were communicating telepathically before I met you. You're like, I got the answer to
Well,
that, Nick.
maybe. I mean, it's so funny because I'm actually a really shy person and
Mhm.
very much an introvert. And I've just hit this place in my career this many years in where I'm like, oh my God, oh hell, like, I just can't take it anymore. Like, the suffering is so intense around skin, like
Yeah.
emotionally,
Yep.
the mental part,
Yeah.
money, like the cost of the toxic beauty matrix, I call it,
Yeah.
is so immense that I'm like, okay, like, we know things are bad when the introverts are crawling out of their closets and scheduling live interviews. We know that it's bad.
Thank you, industry.
Yeah,
So
but that's how we
yeah.
change and that's how we grow. And yeah, the packaging is a whole other part of the toxic beauty matrix too, like the mental illness of waste and
Yeah.
how we're just like consuming plastic and containers, and
Yes.
everything is so disposable. And so that's something else that Skin Harmonics has changed too. I have bulk refills for my
Hmm.
products so that my petroleum footprint, I'm like so proud of, because
Yeah.
I'm not sending out small containers in plastic every month to people. And
Yeah.
that's something that, because I get anxiety from that. Like,
Mhm.
it's called environmental anxiety. Like,
Yeah.
just at the rate that humans are consuming natural resources and how we're
Yeah.
toxifying our environment, which leads to mental illness. Like
Yeah.
so much of everything I feel like can be traced back to a separation from nature.
Yep.
And we've separated from nature, and in that we've created so many problems that we now are having to go back and reconcile and remember. And like I think I mentioned, like we have to just get back to those indigenous roots and be in right living and combine it with technology in the right way. Like it's the best when we can fuse the worlds, you know, old and new.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the new world can make us more efficient with the old world stuff.
Yeah, well-applied technology when it's towards protecting life is wonderful. It's just that when that technology goes towards towards war,
Right.
You know, I have this slogan for my skincare. It says, send food, not bombs. And it's the same concept. I was raised by peace activists.
Yeah.
So that's sort of always in my ear. So it's like, this is the send food, not bombs campaign. But
for your skin. I love that. And even with internally the body, if you feed it the right things, it knows what to do. So I love the concept of feeding your skin, and it like, I know what to do with this. Yay.
And I mean, internal, like it used to be that the only way we could receive nourishment is like through the food we eat, and we still need to do that. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, I'm such a foodie. You have no idea. We can just talk about food someday for like hours just with that. But with the topical dermal nutrients, it's a way. It's like Miracle-Gro. You can actually get sustenance in through the top, where it can sink down and actually nourish the garden soil bed of our skin, as well as receive the nourishment from the capillaries and the food and everything that we're eating from underneath. So it's like there's these two ways now that we can get sustenance, and it's transformative for people who have acne and a lot of sun damage. We can now resurface and restore skin like for real, rather than just like putting on extra hard miles.
Nice. How is it just for anyone who's got eczema, rosacea? Because I know those are autoimmune, but they show up on the skin. So how does the product work for folks with that chronic?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So I have 3 different serums, and they all have different levels of the dermal nutrients, which are stimulating because we're going for that sweet spot. We want to always find that sweet spot where the skin isn't bored and it's not like overwhelmed, where we're just getting positive blood flow in the best possible way. Like we're increasing circulation. And so I have 3 serums that will achieve all of that. And so oftentimes when my people come to me and they have really inflamed and angry and skin that's pissed off, and it could be for an internal microbiome, it could be a sunburn, it could be from over procedures, it could be from using too many acne and anti-aging products. Like there's lots of food allergies. All of that has to be addressed by a functional medicine doctor internally, like blood work, diet change, like all of that. And if we can hydrate this skin that's mad and restore the barrier, and maybe not give it dermal nutrients yet, because skin that's in trouble like that isn't hungry. It's just very thirsty, and it needs protection of its own barrier. So my on-ramping serum is called Balance, and it's made exactly for skin that's just pissed for all the different reasons, and maybe we don't even know why, but we're like, here, this is your hydration. We put the moisturizer on top, we hydrate it. That's all set, and there's soothing things in that serum. There's willow, there's turmeric, and there's blue chamomile, which is hardly ever used because it's so expensive. It's just a tiny bit. So soothing. And now we have skin that's soft and permeable, and it's better able to cope. We can't get rid of what's happening deep on an internal basis, but by just giving our skin that external support, it can be like night and day. The skin can be so soothed and so rebalanced that you still have to work on those hormonal issues or
Sure.
environmental toxin issues or whatever the issue is. But now your skin has a hand and it can move forward. And eventually, people almost always progress onto my next serums where it's the water and the food, and then we can actually, go more. We can actually go somewhere, but we can't
Hmm.
force that any earlier.
Yeah.
Because rosacea skin is dealing with heat. It's hot. Like we can't add more fire to more fire. We've got to
Yeah.
like slow down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so very interesting and informative. Do you only work with people in person, or are you able to do virtual consults and things like that?
Yeah, I do virtual, especially with this whole pandemic
Mm-hmm.
mess. So
Mm-hmm.
I was doing them before, but now I'm doing them much more.
Also, yeah.
People can schedule with me and we can do a Zoom consult and people send me photos and I customize and line up their home care
I
and,
love it.
and mail that to them.
That's
And
awesome.
then for my sessions, there's no virtual way for me to clean out pores
Yeah.
except for at one of my offices. But that can be life changing. Like for
Yeah.
anybody that's never, I mean, to have a really good deep pore cleanse, like the real thing,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I mean, you just have to experience it because like you can use the little patches and you can kind of do your own extractions and you can do all the scrubbing you want, but there's no substitute for having somebody just like very lovingly going through every little area and
Hmm.
irrigating and giving your skin that really good clean out, not just
Hmm.
scrubbing at it, not just
Yeah.
exfoliating it, but really cleaning it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has to be done in person.
Yeah, I'm sure. I had a facial once and it was not a very pleasant experience. It was actually kind of
Oh really?
painful.
Oh,
Yeah.
because she was doing extractions, I bet.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, skin that's hydrated and the barriers restored, all that's in place. Extractions, I actually won't work on anybody that aren't on my products because
Hmm.
their skin's dehydrated. It just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So I make people get on my products and then I'll step in and
Hmm.
can like take over from there. But if skin is really dehydrated, yeah, extractions are going to hurt like hell. And
Hmm.
why clean it out if there's not that daily practice in place to keep it clean? Like
Yeah.
who wants to dig a hole and then just fill it back in? Like not me, you
I
know?
love that. I love that. That is an inadvertent tip. So those who's getting facials and they notice if it's painful, there's something to
Yeah, I
think
mean,
about. Yeah.
yeah, it's not work. I mean, my extractions, I have to say, can be painful too.
Sure. Sure.
But I can vouch for the effectiveness of them
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I can guarantee you won't have to come see me once a month forever. Like
Mm-hmm. Got
once
it.
a year. I have clients that I see less than once a year because
I
their
love it.
skin stays so clear on this system.
I love that. And I know whoever catches us live or later they'll be looking for you. Where are you located again?
Let's see. So I have two offices. I have one in Santa Barbara, California,
Mm-hmm.
and I have another office in Boulder, Colorado.
Love
And
it.
I bounce between locations.
So cool.
Most people find me most accessible at my Colorado
Mm-hmm.
location because I'm
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes from a Denver airport. You can get
Mm.
cheap tickets to Denver. I have clients that come in and out all on one day, even though they live in California. It's
Mm-hmm.
easier to see me in Colorado this way. So I'm in both of those places, and of
Mm-hmm.
course, I ship from both locations.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're a little at time, a little bit
yeah,
over, but that's
yeah.
cool. It's a lot of good information, good tips, good things to think about. Um, is there anything that you would like to share before we bid everyone a wonderful rest of their day?
Yeah, I want to plug my book. Um, it's called Relearning Skincare, The Story of
Yes.
Skin in the New Way. The 90-minute audio is on YouTube. It's an easy, fun listen, very story style. And also that there is an option. There used to not be an option. It's either you had to go conventional and you had to go injections, chemical peels, lasers, and there used to not be a viable option for corrective skincare. And so now there is with my Medi Holistic process and products. Like we can be natural
Mm-hmm.
and still get that corrective power.
Love
So,
it.
and that's new because it used to, this is a funny, I'll leave you with this. I call it the bipolar approach. Spas either have the natural approach and then the medical approach, and sometimes they're side by side. And what they essentially do is they switch from one to the next. You get a peel, you get a peel, you get a laser, you're mean, you're mean, you're mean, and then you flip around and you're really nice, and then you're really soothing and you're really gentle with your skin. And it's the bipolar thing where you're just
Mm-hmm.
swapping back and forth. And so
Yeah.
with my method, it's like right down the middle. It's
Yeah.
like equibalancing. Balancing. It's just sticking to all of those beautiful things like water, dermal nutrients, barrier
Mm-hmm.
repair, allowing our skin to be skin and to detox it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So there's sanity within this minefield of this and the insanity of the beauty and skin industry. There is a light.
Awesome. Good. I'm sure this chat will be a reprieve for many because
Yeah.
the industry will have us thinking we're so flawed and we're really not.
It's time. We have to write a new story. It's time.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're wising up, we're waking up, and there's new ways.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for your time. I will make sure that we have the link to your book in the description, as well as your website and a way to contact you. So, because I'm pretty sure anyone who watches this will be more intrigued to reach out and learn more and start to take better care of their skin. So I thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure. Yay, introverts unite. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to today's Tips Over Tea. Whether you're watching us live or catch it later, please be sure to share it with anyone you know who is just like fed up and they just want to look their best in the most natural way possible. So with that, I want to bid everyone a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Ciao. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click the bell so you'll be notified anytime we upload a new video or go live. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to post it in the comments. We're always checking that. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day.